Hey everybody, I'm Dork the Many, and today I'm going to be teaching you, or not necessarily teaching you anything, but I'm going to be showing you the Dragon deck. Is it worth it? In my opinion, holy shit, yeah, it's really good. You got all these really goddamn good legendaries, except for this fuck piece of shit. He's dumbass bullshit. Get the fuck out of my... Get out of my face. Yeah, this guy is goddamn bullshit. Sure, he costs a lot, but his abilities definitely make up for the utility aspect. Like, this card is definitely a standalone. I can understand why people would prefer Scion, especially considering it's faster to pull out. But this one really more stands alone as a Dragon Tribal in your terms of your ability. You don't want them all on the battlefield. So, these are totally viable commanders, regardless. Ramos is a little bit different in the sense where he runs more in... like a deck that casts spells consistently more often. This one is really more about its ability to get its creatures out rather than casting its spells. So I can understand why it's in it. I don't believe that it really works for this deck as well as it could. So that doesn't make it a bad card. So moving on. So why is the deck worth it? Well, I'm glad you fucking asked, you piece of shit, because it's got all these goddamn cards. Soul Ring. As we know, everybody loves Soul Ring because it's a great card. Get out of my face. Then we got a Fist of Suns. I love the Fist of Suns. You get to pay Penta. And since it's the new version, it's got the colored ones. Everybody likes color. Get the fuck out of my face. Command Sphere. Everybody know what that fucker does. So, in terms of mana generation and like mana rocks, it's actually got a lot more than that, but for the sake of the timing of this video, I think I'm just going to leave those out for now. So, we've also got all of the Vivid Lands, which is actually a really goddamn smart idea. So, yeah, I would actually even personally keep those in there. They also made it so that, you know, all of the triple lands from the Shards of Alara and the Khans of Tarkir set are actually also in this deck. So, it's trying to eliminate your requirement to use regular basic lands, which is actually kind of awesome. It's recognizing the fact that it's a pentacolor deck, and that pentacolor is actually kind of hard to run mana-wise, especially when, you know, you need money. So they just gave you a Cultivate and a Kodama's Reach. Personally, I really kind of I really would have preferred if they gave you an Explosive Vegetation too, but I mean, you can't ask for everything, because otherwise you turn into a piece of shit. Just a real piece of shit. Then you got the Haven of the Spirit Dragon, and then you got the Command Tower, and then you got your Crucible of the Spirit Dragon to make sure that everybody knows that you're ready to get some of that mana and some of that dragons up in here. So, a large percentage of the dragons that actually came with the deck are goddamn nightmares. Like, they are really good. You got good old-fashioned pay for yourself dragon. You got good old-fashioned do damage dragon. You got good old-fashioned comes with a friend dragon. And you got good old-fashioned when it dies, you get a friend dragon, even though it's its own friend. Because it don't need friends. It's just him. All by his lonesome. Don't you feel bad? I don't. Get the fuck out of my face. Then you got this dragon. More turns. Then you got this dragon. Life. And then you get this dragon. I actually didn't really read him. And then you get this dragon. Fucking shit. Holy crap. Okay, so all of these dragons are actually pretty awesome. However, it came with considerably more dragons than that. Like, I'm fucking serious. Like, look at this shit. Look at this. Look at all these dragons it came with. Now, these are a lot of goddamn legendary dragons, but do I think that the deck needs all of them? Absolutely not. I think that it needs I think it needs some of them, like Ojutai is actually really good for this, so is Bladewing and Dramoka. I think those three, like, really tie it together. I don't think that all of them necessarily need to be in the deck, but you can run them, especially considering, like, they're good cards and they're legendary dragons. So who the fuck's gonna stop you? Then, you know, you got Silumgar and you got a Tarka, which also need to be in the deck. I don't know why I didn't mention those initially, but get fucked. Now this is another legendary that's in the deck that I don't really think needs to be in there. Like, as much as it's nice to not be able to make it so that your dragon spells can be countered, it doesn't really necessarily deserve a spot, especially considering it's not even a dragon itself. So, personally, in my opinion, I would actually take this one out. Then you got a whole bunch of other dragons that you don't really need. There's a bunch of cards in this deck that you don't necessarily need, but I'm only going to focus on the main ones that I don't really think deserve to be in the deck. For example, this one, a large percentage of the time when you're playing high-level MTG or high-level Commander or just any of these game types, nobody's going to be targeting a single target unless it's either A, destruction spells, or unless it's an exile. And this doesn't really necessarily seem to protect your stuff any more than it should be able to. There are multiple different cards that you could use that cost just as much, if not less, to do considerably more. And then you got Niv Mizzet. Shit, I didn't mean to grab that one. And then you got Niv Mizzet, and you could just use the other Niv Mizzet if you bought a Nala, because it's better. Then you got this guy. His ability is a little confusing, but it's also not good. So, hello, dog. And then we got, you got that guy. You draw a card if you pay 2, and it's a fucking defender. It's not even a dragon. Get the fuck out of my face. You piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. And then you got Ryosei, who is cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, he's really cool. But the problem that I'm having with him is that there's multiple different cards that you could use that would actually help you a lot more in the situation than he would. For example, you could literally just play Kokosho and just blink him in with fucking that guy, and then just bam, he dies. Everybody loses a bunch of life. You gain a bunch of life. Game set. Game over. It's over. Now, there's a bunch of other cards in this deck that actually make a lot more sense to be in here that I didn't necessarily expect, like Fractured Identity, for example. And then you got, Kindred Discovery. The whole Kindred expansion pack is actually, like, one of my favorites. I love how tribal it is, especially considering it actually fucking makes sense. And then you got Crucible of Fire, naturally. More stuff to make it so that your dragons cost less, which is great. The Sieges, which are wonderful. Crux of Fate, which is, like, one of the only fucking, like, destruction spells in this entire deck that actually makes sense to do it. Dragon Tempest, which is great. Take a gizzity gander at that one. And then you got Curse of Bounty, which is goddamn stupid. The new curses are really something else. And then you got Elemental Bond. There's a bunch of other cards that you could use instead of this one, but mostly just because of the fact that it's cheap and all of your dragons are going to be costing, like having a power higher than 3. It's really just kind of more bang for your buck at this point. So, ultimately, in terms of changes, I don't really think that it needs to be changed too much. I think in terms of its mana generation, it's not doing too badly. Obviously, there's some room for improvement. Then again, if you're willing to spend like $1,000 on your goddamn land, absolutely go for it. But in terms of things that you could add, I would personally throw in a Chromatic Lantern or maybe a Celestial Dawn so that you can get that mana ramp faster. And then maybe you can, just run some of the more interesting dragons, like Dragon Broodmother. You can go ahead and take a look at that. I'll post some of the links in the description to some of the cards that you'll need to take a look at. Dragon Broodmother is a little impressive. Mana Echoes, just in case you want to spend a whole lot of money. Conspiracy, just in case you're planning on running something that needs to be in the deck that isn't necessarily a dragon, and make it so that, when dragons enter the battlefield, they don't even necessarily have to be dragons at that point, because you're a cuck. And then, you could basically just run a whole lot of other things that scale off your types, like Coat of Arms or Door of Destinies, things like that. This deck is ultimately just a tribal deck, but the thing is, it's pentacolor, so it has a lot of possibilities and a lot of ways to deal damage and a lot of ways to be efficient at what it does. So in terms of this deck actually being good, I do think that the Dragon is definitely worth the $40 that you would spend at like fucking Target to be able to purchase it. So if you give a shit about what I gotta say about this guy, go ahead, because this guy is the goddamn king right now. So I'm Dork the Mighty, and in my opinion, the Dragon is definitely fucking worth it. Goodbye.